What happens when the organisation that literally wrote chapters of Grand Prix strategy suddenly forgets how to turn the page on race day? Under Miami's kaleidoscopic floodlights and suffocating humidity, Ferrari, long celebrated for discipline, precision and swagger, spent 30 chaotic minutes that shredded all three qualities at once. A reigning world champion and a title-hungry challenger, both in matching scarlet machinery, stared at each other's rear wings while rivals sprinted into the night. The scoreboard will record 7th and 8th. The history books may remember Miami as the moment a title bid bled out in plain sight. When the tyre blankets were barely off, Charles Leclerc stepped into the TV pen and delivered a masterclass in courteous candour. He praised Lewis Hamilton's overtaking craft, saluted the mechanics for flawless stops, then slipped the steel. From his cockpit, Hamilton's soft tyres looked destined to spiral over the cliff before the checkered flag, so staying ahead felt logical until the team's belated call arrived. Read between the lines and you hear a driver doubting the numbers that blink on mission control laptops. Questioning one instruction is normal. Doubting the entire decision tree reeks of structural decay. Leclerc went further, revealing that he and Hamilton had asked pre-race for clearer contingency plans, hinting that confusion brewed long before the formation lap. His calm diction could not hide the sting. If miscommunication wrecks minor points, what happens when victory hangs in the balance? Qualifying slotted Leclerc and Hamilton onto row 4, a pairing any strategist dreads because identical ambitions tend to collide before the first corner. By lap 44, Hamilton's SF25 wore soft tyres 12 laps fresher and 6 degrees Celsius cooler than Leclerc's well-worn mediums, a recipe for ruthless pace. Timing screens glowed crimson. 3/10 gained in Sector 1, 2/10 in Sector 2, nearly half a second over the lap. 70 metres ahead, teenager Kimi Antonelli coaxed a blistered Mercedes, begging the rubber for one last grip cycle. The textbook move: wave the quicker car through and reassess later. Instead, Ferrari's pit wall hesitated and told Hamilton to sit tight, harvest drag reduction system and wait. Seconds bled away, tyre surface temperatures spiked, and any hope of catching Antonelli floated into the humid Florida air. Inside a carbon fibre shell scarcely wider than a bathtub, Hamilton's voice sounded velvet smooth, yet carried 7 championships worth of urgency. "I am losing time here, guys," he intoned. "Code for act now, or wave goodbye to 6th place." Overhead, laptops pinged, algorithms reshuffled risk matrices, but the command remained holstered. 2 heat-soaked laps slipped by. When Charles let Lewis through at turn 17 finally reached Leclerc's earphones, the damage was done. Dirty air had roasted Hamilton's fronts. Antonelli had vanished beyond undercut range. The inevitable re-swap, demanded when Hamilton's pace collapsed, resembled a carnival act. 2 Ferraris changing places twice without gaining a single point, all captured by a global broadcast feed. Lewis Hamilton has spent 15 seasons perfecting the balance between transparency and diplomacy. Yet Miami stretched that equilibrium. On camera, he remained gracious. "We win and lose together," and thanked Leclerc for cooperation. Behind the closed garage door, insiders describe a debrief that ran past midnight. Hamilton lined up throttle traces, lap delta charts, and radio timestamps to show how a 2-second hesitation ballooned into 15 lost. He finished by recalling his triumph at the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix, a win forged because team and driver ignored gloomy surface readings and trusted instinct. The message landed with a thud. Bold calls win championships. Hesitation burns them. Team principal Fred Vasseur faced the press armed with glossy telemetry printouts and a measured baritone. Initial tyre life projections, he explained, suggested Hamilton's softs would fade after 8 push laps. So, delaying the swap shielded both Ferraris from Aston Martin undercuts. Only when fresh carcass temperature feeds arrived did the model flip, triggering the belated order. "We reacted as soon as the numbers changed," he summarised. Journalists countered that retrospective graphs offer little comfort for future crunch moments. Vasseur promised a procedural review before Imola, an assurance also heard after last season's Mexican misstep. Constructors' championships are marathons disguised as sprints, and momentum is the invisible gradient on which they are fought. Ferrari left Miami 4th overall, 63 points behind McLaren, and watching Red Bull vanish down the straight. Points gaps can shrink, confidence gaps ossify. Each mixed message on Sunday forces staff to second-guess choices on Monday. Aerodynamicists hesitate to tailor upgrades toward Hamilton's smooth rotation or Leclerc's sharper entry. Strategy analysts oversimulate every risk until boldness evaporates. Even social media managers feel the tension. Excitement gets replaced by careful optimism. Performance psychologists embedded with the squad warn that persistent uncertainty starts a vicious cycle. Drivers over-push to compensate, mistakes breed conservative calls, and mediocrity cements. Ferrari's Museo is crammed with silverware, yet its corridors echo with what-ifs. The most instructive goes dates to 2012, when Fernando Alonso led the standings deep into autumn, only to lose by 3 points after strategy wobbles. A slow pit release behind a Caterham in Malaysia, a timid tyre gamble in Canada, an overextended stint in Abu Dhabi. Each error, small alone, catastrophic together. Leclerc watched that heartbreak as a teenage karting prodigy. Hamilton lifted the trophy Alonso craved. Both men know championships hinge on micro-decisions invisible to casual fans. The cautionary tale resonates because patterns repeat. Brilliant drivers, quick cars, strategic Achilles heels. Imola, next on the calendar, will reveal whether Ferrari's chain of command has been reforged or further frayed. The Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari is narrow, undulating, and punishes hesitation mercilessly. Safety cars appear with cruel timing, and overtaking demands either pit wall wizardry or pure driver heroics. If the two scarlet cars find themselves nose to tail again, the paddock will eavesdrop on every radio syllable. A crisp "swap now" spoken before Acque Minerali might restore faith. Another public debate would confirm that Maranello's once fearsome aura is fading into nostalgia. Authority, once questioned, must be reasserted swiftly or surrendered. Miami's fireworks crackled above Biscayne Bay. Yet the bigger detonation happened on Ferrari's timing stand. In 57 laps, the Scuderia exposed a rift between cockpit instinct and algorithmic caution, wide enough for rivals to steer an entire championship through. Unless Maranello welds those halves into a single decisive mindset, 7th and 8th will stop looking like aberrations and start feeling like destiny. Yet the true cost of Miami may not appear on a points table. It will unfold in the intangible currency of belief. Championships hinge on the conviction that every voice in the garage speaks one language when the visor drops. The moment a driver senses hesitation, doubt creeps into breakpoint calculations and throttle commits. For Leclerc, whose career has been a quest to translate raw speed into silverware, that sliver of doubt is poison. For Hamilton, who arrived in red to script a final act of glory, it is déjà vu of an era he thought he left behind. The calendar offers no mercy. Imola arrives in 2 weeks, Barcelona 2 weeks after, and then the furnace of Montreal. Each circuit poses a different strategic puzzle. None allow a rehearsal. Rivals sense vulnerability and will attack in waves. McLaren with relentless updates, Mercedes with quiet momentum, Red Bull with the muscle memory of serial champions. If Ferrari dithers again, the gap will stretch beyond arithmetic recovery long before the summer break. And what of the Tifosi? Passion is their trademark. Patience never was. They have endured a decade plus of next year mantras and watched title prospects dissolve in tyre marbles and split-second indecision. Another squandered campaign could trigger more than frustration. It could erode the aura that attracts talent to Maranello in the first place. Engineers choose projects where vision feels unbreakable. Drivers, too, read the shifting winds of competence. Still, hope clings to scarlet like paint. The SF25 is inherently quick, the driver pairing enviable, and Vasseur's leadership reputation forged on turning fractured outfits into contenders. All it takes is one emphatic race, a flawless execution under floodlights, a brave undercut called without hesitation, to transform narrative and momentum at once. History remembers turnarounds as vividly as collapses. The choice remains within Ferrari's grasp. So the question hanging in humid Miami air lingers. Will the Scuderia rise from this self-inflicted blow? Or will the Florida stutter echo as the moment the 2025 dream slipped seaward? Fans, rivals, and history's ledger will know soon. For now, the only certainty is that Formula One writes brutal, beautiful dramas at 300 km/h, and Ferrari has just set the stage for its most pivotal act in years.